China shocked, U.S. military show of might over South China Sea continues. The military continued its week-long show of force in the South China Sea with a sortie over the contested waters by 2 Air Force bombers, Stars and Stripes reported. The B-1B Lancers from Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota flew a 32-hour round trip to conduct operations over the sea as part of a joint bomber task force by the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command and U.S. Strategic Command, the Air Force said in a statement Thursday. China has claimed sovereignty over much of the South China Sea, an assertion disputed by other nations with competing claims, including Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia and Brunei. During the past week, Navy warships operated near the Spratly and Paracel Islands, 2 of the archipelagos China has vigorously claimed, the military news outlet reported. The guided missile cruiser USS Bunker Hill sailed near the Spratlys on Wednesday as part of its so-called freedom of navigation operations, intended to challenge assertions by China and others that military passing near the islands must receive authorization. The United States contends that international law allows for direct passage through the contested archipelagos. On Tuesday, the guided missile destroyer USS Barry sailed near the Paracel Islands. Meanwhile, China has put its armed forces on high alert after the US and Australia strengthened their joint military presence in the South China Sea amid soaring diplomatic tensions over the coronavirus pandemic. The Ministry of National Defence in Beijing said Australia's joint navigation exercises with the US in the disputed waters threatened regional peace and stability. Officials said they were closely monitoring activities by foreign naval vessels in the volatile region. Defense spokesman Colonel Wu Qian said, "Reality has proven once again that the U.S. is the biggest facilitator of the militarization of the South China Sea, and is a troublemaker for the region's peace and stability." The People's Liberation Army will remain on high alert, and adamantly safeguard national sovereignty, security, and development interests, as well as the peace and prosperity of the region. Beijing was enraged when the Australian Navy teamed up with US warships to carry out joint freedom of navigation exercises during the past fortnight. Australian frigate HMAS Parramatta joined 3 U.S. vessels where a Chinese vessel was suspected to be exploring for oil in an area on which Vietnam and Malaysia also have claims. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has accused Beijing of provocatively building up its presence in the region while the rest of the world was distracted by the coronavirus crisis which began in China. Australia's calls for an independent inquiry into the pandemic has put further strain on the relations between Canberra and Beijing. China's ambassador to Australia, Cheng Jingye, warned demands for an investigation could spark a Chinese consumer boycott of students and tourists visiting Australia, as well as beef and wine sales. Analysts said China could deliberately slow down customs clearances for Australian beef and wine exports in retaliation. This would drive up costs and also create enough uncertainty for buyers to cancel orders. Lin Guofa, a research director at BRIC Global Agricultural Consultants, said, "There is some political risk. It has happened before with rapeseed from Canada. While it is technically against World Trade Organization rule, China has previously been accused of using regulations and red tape to unofficially slow customs clearances for some products." Wang Dewei, general manager of domestic wine marketing company Jide Co., said nationalistic Chinese consumers could boycott Australian wine, but it was unlikely. But he warned China could hurt demand by changing tariff policies to make imports of Australian wine less attractive. He said, "If there was a change in trade policies, this will bring a significant change to Australian wine sales in China." Trade experts said buyers could cancel orders because they were worried about potential hurdles to shipments clearing customs once they arrived in China. Beijing said its military forces were working hard helping other nations tackle coronavirus. Mr. Wu said the People Liberation Army had sent medical supplies and experts to many countries such as Iran, Pakistan, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam and Lebanon. PLA medical teams have also held virtual seminars with peers from Pakistan, Singapore and Russia. Mr. Wu said, "The pandemic is a common enemy to mankind. The PLA will continue to collaborate with foreign military authorities to jointly tackle the pandemic."